The family that vacations together stays together. At least that was the plan. Except now the Dastardly Desk Clerk is saying he can't confirm your connecting rooms.
Wait, what?
That's right, ma'am. You have rooms 201 and 709.
No, we cannot be 5 floors away from our kids.
The doors have double locks. They'll be fine.
When you want your connecting rooms confirmed before you arrive, it matters where you stay.
Welcome to Hilton. I see your connecting rooms are already confirmed.
Hilton, for the stay.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Fiscally responsible, financial geniuses, monetary magicians. These are things people say about drivers who switch their car insurance to Progressive and save hundreds. Visit Progressive.com to see if you could save. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary, not available in all states or situations.
Welcome into 49ers Access. My name is Sterling Bennett, and do we have the long-awaited Super Bowl 58 rematch ahead of us this Sunday, pitting the 3-3 San Francisco 49ers against the undefeated 5-0 Kansas City Chiefs. And I tell you what, I am pumped. Everyone and their mother has had this game circled on the schedule since the schedule came out. It is Niners, Chiefs. It has been the San Francisco 49ers kryptonite to face the Kansas City Chiefs. They have been at the forefront of some of the biggest moments under the Kyle Shanahan era. Don't forget, they were the team Jimmy Garoppolo tore his ACL against. They were the team that Christian McCaffrey made his debut against, and San Francisco's obviously lost 2 Super Bowls to Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes. It has been Niners, then the Chiefs as the best teams in football for the better half of 5 years. Had it not been for the Kansas City Chiefs, the San Francisco 49ers could call themselves maybe not just 6 times, but potentially 7-time Super Bowl champions. This is a hated, heated rivalry. This is, we hate the Chiefs until the bitter end. Whether it's Mahomes, whether it's Kelsey, whether it's Chris Jones, whether it's Taylor Swift, whether we blame our own head coach Kyle Shanahan, when you see the Chiefs on the schedule, you feel something. You feel angry. I can tell you right now, I don't want to face Kansas City because it brings back every bad memory of the last 5 or so seasons. But maybe this game is time for a change. Maybe in 2024, the cycle flips on itself and San Francisco finally beats Patrick Mahomes, who is undefeated against the San Francisco 49ers 4-0. Beat them 2 times in the regular season, and he beat them 2 times in the playoffs. Maybe 2024 is the start of something new for Kyle Shanahan and the San Francisco 49ers. Before we dive into this one, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Put your comments in the YouTube chat. I promise I will get to almost every single one of them. And without further ado, let's preview Super Bowl 58 rematch, the Chiefs against the San Francisco 49ers. Try to hold your tears back. Try to hold your anger to the end of the show, and hopefully let it out at Levi's Stadium this Sunday. And if you haven't got tickets yet, use our promo code 49ers Access at SeatGeek.com, 49 ERSACCESS at SeatGeek.com, and save yourself $20 off your first purchase. Okay, when you think of the Kansas City Chiefs, what is the first thing you think of? If you're like myself, I think of Patrick Mahomes. He's just a slippery MFer, if you will. He is the best quarterback in football, albeit not this year, but the last couple of seasons won an MVP, multiple-time Super Bowl champion. Mahomes has been the best quarterback in the NFL, bridging that gap from Brady to who's going to take over. Oh, it's Patrick Mahomes. He's the guy. He's 4-0 against San Francisco in his career. He's great. He is what you want in a quarterback. He's durable. He's mobile. He has a cannon for an arm, and he always has a knack to make the right play at the right time, to get the big play at the right time. That said, despite everything Mahomes is good at, everything he's great at, which is almost everything, right? San Francisco surprisingly has done a great job in forcing Mahomes to make critical mistakes. The issue is, once they force Mahomes to make those mistakes, they don't capitalize. But go back to 2019. We're in Miami, in the Super Bowl. San Francisco forces Patrick Mahomes to throw not just one, but 2 interceptions that should have put that game away. Run the ball, Kyle! Run the ball! But I digress. Fast forward 2022, Brock Purdy's first live action, Christian McCaffrey's debut. That game was tight at halftime. San Francisco forces the early Talanoa Hufanga interception off of Patrick Mahomes. They don't capitalize. They obviously get blown out in the second half, but they force Mahomes to make a turnover. And last year in the Super Bowl, out of halftime, Jair Brown gets the big interception, and San Francisco doesn't capitalize. That said, Mahomes has thrown 4 interceptions against San Francisco in 3 of their 4 matchups. It's not as if Mahomes has been perfect, been the reason they've won. Certainly a reason they won. Again, he makes the right play at the right time, but San Francisco's defense under Robert Saleh, under DeMeco Ryans, under Steve Wilks, and hopefully this Sunday with Nick Sorensen at the helm, can force Mahomes into turnovers. And when you look at the Kansas City Chiefs this year, we've talked long and hard about how the Niners aren't the same team they were last year. I know Kansas City's record may say 5-0. They are not the same team they were last year. Now, what I mean by that is, by record-wise, they're undefeated. Who cares how you win? A win's a win, right? But the way they're winning is very, very different, and I do think the way they've been playing, primarily Patrick Mahomes, could lend San Francisco to, if they can just capitalize on those mistakes, they can hopefully pull this one out walking into this game, which the Chiefs are coming off the bye week. They have, roughly 14 days to prep for this game. Somehow San Francisco, after having a Thursday night game and 10 days of rest, is decimated by injuries once again. Debo's in a blue jersey. Jordan Mason's in a blue jersey. Juwan Jennings may not play. Probably not going to play this Sunday. It's a pretty big loss in my opinion. Ricky Pearsall may or may not play this Sunday. But besides that, the Chiefs walk into week number 7 with a -4 turnover differential this season. And when you look at the stat lines, through 5 games this year, Patrick Mahomes has thrown 6 interceptions. I don't know about you. That's not turnover prone, but that is, hey, you're keeping the door open for the opposition to stay alive or come back. Mahomes has kind of been playing Sam Darnold-esque, if you will. Both teams undefeated. Both teams playing really well. Their defenses have been off the charts, but the quarterbacks, despite how good they've been through 6 weeks in time and 5 games, they've had a play or two here or there in each game where you're like, ooh, that's not great. Ooh, you're giving the opposing team an opportunity to stay in the game or actually win the football game for you. So when you hear Patrick Mahomes, you think of elite, rocket arm, a multiple-time Super Bowl champion. He's the future GOAT, if you will, of the NFL, especially at this era. He's not been playing up to Mahomes' level this season. He's not been the guy to a point of CBS Sports, for as lackluster as their social media rankings are. He's not even in their top 10. Now, I think that's a bunch of bullpucky, but I mean, hey, he's not played like a top 10 quarterback this year. In fact, you can make an argument that Patrick Mahomes, this is the worst version of him we have ever seen. So far this year, Patrick Mahomes has the worst touchdown percentage of his career at 3.8%. He has the worst, or in fact, the best, highest, if you will, interception percentage in his entire career at 3.8. For every touchdown he throws one interception. He's not been great, not been efficient. He has the lowest yards per game at 247 throughout his entire career. He has the lowest rating at 88.9 coming into this game of his entire career thus far, and the lowest QBR of 57.8 walking into Week 7 against the San Francisco 49ers. All that to say, if you're looking for an opportunity to beat Patrick Mahomes, it is this Sunday at 1:25 at Levi Stadium. They're coming into your place off the bye week. They're revitalized, they're fresh, your back's against the wall for San Francisco. You can simply not lose this game. I get it. You're 3-3. You beat the Seahawks. You're in first place in the NFC West. The last thing you can afford is to lose this game and have the Chiefs knock you off your track. You got right against Seattle. Don't let this be a reversion back to who you were against the Cardinals. You had these 10 days to rest, prepare for a game like this. In fact, the NFL made this happen for a reason. They wanted the rematch, and they gave both teams extra rest to say, you know what? We want both those teams healthy enough that when they walk into Levi Stadium this Sunday, it is a smoke show. It is bullets flying everywhere. There's, touchdowns here, touchdowns there. You get a touchdown, you get a touchdown, you get a touchdown. That's what the NFL wants. And I think that the way this game the way both teams have been playing, it's going to take that from San Francisco. But the way Kansas City's been playing this year, it is a run-the-ball defensive front so far that the Chiefs have been one of the worst teams in red zone touchdown percentage, eerily similar to San Francisco. The Chiefs so far rank 30th in red zone touchdown percentage. Now again, they've had 2 weeks to prepare for this game, to fix the issues they've been having, but when I tell you, you want to beat Mahomes, you want to finally get over that hump and put your demons in the past. Right now, San Francisco, it's a mental block, right? They have to prove to themselves, hey, we can beat this guy. Because they've had him dead to rights twice. 10-point leads both times, whether it's third quarter, fourth quarter, overtime. You had a lead against Mahomes in the biggest game of the year multiple times. You got interceptions, you did your job, just not enough. You were almost there. There is a mental blockage in Kyle Shanahan all the way down, permeating to what seems like this team's now third kicker this year because Moody's hurt and Matthew Wright can't play. This team that has lost multiple big games to Mahomes has to prove to themselves that, hey, we can beat this guy, beat the giant in our way. And if there's any time to do it, there's no time like the present. Yes, we wish it was last year in the Super Bowl in 2019, all of that, yes, but this year Mahomes, this is the worst version of Patrick Mahomes we have ever seen. If there is a chance to strike while the iron is hot, or in Mahomes' case, the iron's pretty darn cold, it's now. Now, maybe Mahomes walks into this game and they've had everything fixed and they come in, they trounce San Francisco. I'm not going to lie to you. When you hear the Chiefs are coming to town, you think, oh, God, like, could it get any worse? I watched that game in 2022. It was a nightmare. San Francisco got boat raced. It was ugly to a point where San Francisco was playing their backup quarterback in Brock Purdy. Now, their starting quarterback, Brock Purdy, walks into this game, I think, with a pretty heavy weight on his shoulders to win this one, but we'll get to them in a second. One thing about Patrick Mahomes is while, yes, having the worst year of his career by far, yes, one interception to each touchdown he's thrown, not been playing great. The way they've been playing is, at the line of scrimmage. He has one of the worst air yards in football. The way they've been playing has been very 49ers Jimmy Garoppolo-esque, end around, screen passes, slants, dump offs. It's not been this explosive Chiefs offense that was with in his prime Travis Kelce, Tyreek Hill, even in previous weeks and last year, Rashee Rice, who's not going to play in this one, right? This is not the same Chiefs team we've come to know and despise in previous years, but the one thing about the Chiefs is they have one of the best offensive lines in football. We hear all the time, Trent Williams is a weapon for Kyle Shanahan. The Chiefs' offensive line is a weapon for Andy Reid. They have probably the best interior offensive line in football. Through 5 games so far this year, only 42 pressures allowed. Doing some quick math, that's around 8 pressures a game, which isn't perfect, but by all means, that's not that bad. Nick Bosa had 14 himself against the Seahawks last Thursday, but they've only given up 2 sacks. All that to say, you don't sack Patrick Mahomes. Even last year, when this offense in KC was rolling, they're feeling good, they're getting hot, you're not bringing down Patrick Mahomes to a point of, he makes, like the off-schedule play, he makes everything hard. That's what makes him so good. He makes your life miserable as a defense. It's the on-schedule stuff. Andy Reid's creativity. It's you just can't bring you just can't bring him down. He is a slippery MFer, if you will, kind of like Brock Purdy is, but to the nth degree of that. Like Mahomes never goes down. So far this year in 185 passing plays, the Chiefs' offensive line has an 87.6 pass blocking efficiency. That ranks 10th in all of football, and that is being dragged down by terrible tackle play. But when you look at the interior, there has been a shift. And if you watched my last episode of the podcast on YouTube, or you listened to it on the audio versions, which, by the way, give us a 5-star review and thank you so much. But I talked about how the NFL has shifted to the interior rush being so important, in fact, more important at times than the exterior rush. It is so easy to eliminate edge rushers in the NFL. It's screen passes, dump off, the quick game. You can almost take a player like Nick Bosa out of a game by the quick game. Whereas you have an interior rusher, which is why San Francisco paid big money for Javon Hargrave, who unfortunately is not going to play, but that's why they went and acquired Malik Collins in the offseason to be a pass rusher for them. That's why they went and signed Jordan Elliott. They knew they had to have rushers in the middle to impact the interior of opposing offensive lines. The fastest way to a quarterback is through the center. You get by the center. That's why we all dislike Jake Brendel. It's like, come on, dude. Block for me, brother. You're making Brock Purdy's life a living hell, which he's been terrible this year, but you want to get to Patrick Mahomes, you have to go through Creed Humphrey. You have to go through Trey Smith and others, Joe Thuney, right?
The family that vacations together stays together. At least that was the plan. Except now the Dastardly Desk Clerk is saying he can't confirm your connecting rooms.
Wait, what?
That's right, ma'am. You have rooms 201 and 709.
No, we cannot be 5 floors away from our kids.
The doors have double locks. They'll be fine.
When you want your connecting rooms confirmed before you arrive, it matters where you stay.
Welcome to Hilton. I see your connecting rooms are already confirmed.
Hilton, for the stay.
That's why this game, I think, comes down to not just sacking Patrick Mahomes, that's already tough in itself, but players like Malik Collins, Jordan Elliott, Evan Anderson, and others are going to have the game of their life. This is about forcing Mahomes out of the pocket, make him make the big-time plays, where this year, that's not been on the table a lot for them. Their receiving core is not that great. It's Juju Smith-Schuster, who I get, he's a vet. He does everything Andy Reid wants them to do, but because they've had so much trouble moving the football, sustaining drives, kind of like San Francisco had earlier in the season, albeit, or although San Francisco's trouble is more so coming in the red zone, the Chiefs have had problems in the red zone as well. So you've seen the Chiefs change their identity. Where in previous years it was an explosive vertical passing offense to Kelsey and to Tyreek Hill, Rashee Rice, and others, it's morphed into a rushing attack. Andy Reid has realized, okay, my offense is not hitting its strides on a consistent basis, where even without Isaiah Pacheco, who might be out the entire year, or at least most of it, right, with an injury, they're still running 30 times a game. That ranks 9th in the NFL. If I would have told you you have the best quarterback in football and you're running the football the 9th most times in football, that doesn't make sense. Wouldn't you want to utilize your quarterback, right? Well, they've realized quarterback's not having a great year, throwing some picks left and right. Our weapons aren't having a great time. Kelsey's not been who he once was in the last couple seasons, so let's run the football. You go back 2 weeks, rewind against the Saints a couple weeks ago, the Chiefs of all teams ran the football 39 times. Almost 40 times. We talk about, Kyle Shanahan wants to run the football and get his nose dirty and just pound the rock over and over and over again. That's been the Chiefs this year. They have been, just pound the rock, in a way, let Mahomes game manage, let him get the ball out and facilitate, which we all know Mahomes isn't that guy. He can be so much more. He's incredible, but they've relied on players like Samaje Perine, or in recent weeks, Kareem Hunt, who's back in Kansas City, Carson Steele, a rookie who has fumbled 3 times thus far this year, so let's see what happens with that. Maybe he fumbles against San Francisco this Sunday, but they are the 1-2 punch. They're utilizing Xavier Worthy, a first-round pick out of Texas this year, on end-arounds. So it's going to be I think this game will be more of a chess match than ever, because Mahomes isn't playing great. Purdy's playing phenomenal so far this year in the last couple weeks. Spagnuolo, his defense is always tough to beat. It's Purdy's second time seeing that defense. And the Chiefs are just playing a different brand of offensive football, to a point of my concerns against them is, one, I don't care how bad Kansas City's left tackle is. They have done a great job in erasing Nick Bosa from the game. We all talk about, in big moments, where's Nick Bosa? A lot of that conversation stems from the Super Bowl. Now, albeit at times they're holding him. They're holding Nick Bosa, and God forbid they don't call a penalty against Kansas City's offensive line for holding in this one, but it's been far too common. Call it, refs, please. That said, I am mortified. And I'm a pretty pessimistic person, but I am mortified that the way Kansas City has the ability to use Worthy on end-arounds, he is going to play Devondre Campbell off the field. Fred Warner's great. He will carry his own, but Campbell would work well as a run-defending linebacker, which is why against Hunt and Steele, I'm not too worried, but on the end-arounds, you're going to want some athleticism on the outside. Campbell just doesn't have that. I would love to see a mixture of D. Winters, whether it's Jalen Graham, Tatum Bethune. I want to see more athleticism at the linebacker 2 position, like we saw Nick Sorensen go to late in that game against the Seahawks. Don't be afraid to make those changes. I think Campbell can play well when they're just feeding the rock to Hunt and Steele. I think Campbell can do a solid job there, but the Chiefs still have that sneaky speed, right? They have one of the fastest guys in football, and I am worried that Devondre Campbell might be yelling, "Why is he on the field?" Which unfortunately seems to be a common occurrence the last couple of weeks or so. But let's go to Kansas City's weapons before we dive into the San Francisco offense going up against the Chiefs defense. We have some comments in the YouTube chat. Here, we got Bobo saying, we have to beat them at least once, referring to the Chiefs. The rivalry is one-sided. Spags owns Kyle the Choke. Shanahan. Let's hope that changes, but so far, you're right. Bobo also says here, the anger won't get let out and get thrown back in our faces by KC and the refs. I'm I'm not going to complain about the refs, but they've not been great when we've played Kansas City, but time will tell. Fish and Chips says here that, the Niners are banged up. They are. It stinks. They are. I wish there was Jennings and McCaffrey and Greenlaw and Hargrave and Feliciano, but I still think San Francisco has a pretty good chance to win this game. Would I pick them to win? You'll have to wait and see at the end of the podcast. But, Niners for life says the way Reid adapts to his personnel from year to year is truly masterful. We talk so much about Kyle Shanahan being this amazing play caller, which he is. But Andy Reid, by far, is the best one in football. Like, Shanahan, his scheme is so replicable, right? Replicable? That everyone's doing it now, but Andy Reid is just a magician at what he can do each year. The way he's able to go from Hill and Schuster and Rice, and now it's Worthy, and thinking he had Hollywood Brown and Kelsey and Justin Watson, like he is just in a league of his own. It doesn't matter. Rick Diaz says here, my friend, good afternoon, good evening, coming from Chicago, Chi-Town, shout out Derrick Rose, happy on the retirement. It's very cold here, but it's gonna get hot on Sunday at Levi's. Good, bring on the heat, man. I live in the desert. If them Bay Area boys can't survive in the heat, I mean, come on. No, it's always hot in the Bay sometimes, and Levi's is terrible. How is there no shade? Man? Like, what a mistake. What's worse, Jerry Jones not giving the AT&T crew the green light to close those blinds to block out the sun at AT&T when it blinds the teams they're playing, or Levi Stadium having no shade at all. Just two, and they can close those shades for concerts. In fact, they do. What a botch job. But I digress. Moving on to what the Chiefs offensively do. Yes, they run the football like crazy. It is going to be imperative San Francisco's run defense comes to play. It was phenomenal against the Seahawks. You have to play even better against the Chiefs. The offensive line is great. Creed Humphrey is just another level. Why did we not pick him? Boy, out of Oklahoma, Boomer Sooner, brother. But yeah, it is going. You stop the run, you force at right this point in time a subpar Patrick Mahomes to beat you, then my goodness, you're never going to beat him. But if you want to win this game, you got to stop Kareem Hunt. You got to stop Carson Steele. You got to stop those stupid end-arounds with Xavier Worthy. You do that, which is hard. It's easier said than done. You do that, you got a really good chance to win this game. Moving on to what Kansas City does with the receivers. I already mentioned Xavier Worthy. He's a fast you-know-whatter, man. He is quick. That said, press coverage bumped that sucker off his route. He is a fast you-know-whatter, also a skinny and scrawny you-know-whatter as well. You bump him off his route, you play press coverage, you almost take away that speed. Take away that verticality, he will not beat you that way. It was the biggest knock of his coming out of college. He's too skinny. He can't do that. Now, Reid is great at finding him free releases. That stuff, you just can't help, right? But if he's at that line, you press him until he falls apart and turns to dust. Get physical, get nasty, play clean, but get nasty. You stop that verticality. You eliminate one of the biggest, home run hitting abilities on Chiefs offense this year. And of course, there's Juju Smith-Schuster. He's just a vet that does everything Andy Reid wants him to do. I know we joke about the TikToks and the dancing at the sideline and this, that, and the other, and the whatever you want to call it he was doing with Pittsburgh and KC the first time, and of course the Patriots. But Juju can still play, but the Chiefs just do not have that explosiveness they once had. It's all kind of in between the seams. They're not going to go as silent as sideline, not going to go vertical, which brings me to Travis Kelce. If you watched Deebo Samuel's podcast or show on Bleacher Report, he talked about that Travis Kelce's turning things up. Travis Kelce, through the first 3 games this year, sucked. It was like Taylor Swift sucked the life out of him, which maybe she has in different contexts, but my goodness, 8 catches, 71 yards. through the first 3 games. The last 2 games, though, he's been turning things up. That heat has been turned to 11, 16 catches, 159, basically 160 yards, but he hasn't reached the end zone just yet. I'm going to assume Travis Kelce is going to score his first touchdown of the NFL season this year. They'll cut to the booth. You'll see Mahomes' wife being like, "Oh my God, I can't believe it. It's a touchdown." And then Taylor's like, "Yee, my boyfriend, yee, Eras Tour, yee." And you're just like, I hate my life, but I digress. We're having fun on the podcast today. But I do think that, it'll be interesting to see what Nick Sorensen does to limit Travis Kelce. He's getting hot off the bye week. They're feeling good. Does he just say, hey, Fred, go out and guard your boy Travis? It wouldn't be a bad idea. But then you're leaving the middle of the field open to Devondre Campbell just being terrible, and younger players like D. Winters being terrible. You don't have Hufanga this week. You have a rookie safety, Malik Mustafa, playing. You just signed Adrian Amos. How much is he going to play? He's a practice squad player. But my other questions I have are Renardo Green. Fish and Chips says, "Family show," referring to my Taylor Swift comment, but you're right. You're right. Family show, sorry. We are PG, kind of. But I really hope that Nick Sorensen, because Mooney Ward is healthy, that he doesn't just bench Renardo Green. Green played so well against Seattle, and DK Metcalf and JSN are better receivers than Schuster and Xavier Worthy. I really want him to trust Renardo Green in this game. Don't bench him. Let him play. I think he can do a heck of a job limiting and stopping the Chiefs' receivers. I'm hoping the way Green played, it has gained some trust from Nick Sorensen. I think in press coverage against Worthy, he'd be great. I think Renardo Green is your most versatile cornerback, not named Diamador Lenore. I think very highly of Renardo Green, but Lenore is going to be a massive matchup in the slot, I think. Again, it depends on who they play. If they play Yadam, Lenore's playing the slot. If they play Green, Lenore's probably going to play the outside. But, I can guarantee you Lenore's walking into the office saying, "I want to guard Travis Kelce." That's what he wants to do. I think the way the cornerbacks have played this year, this can be kind of a one-man show. San Francisco rarely allows multiple weapons to beat them. It is usually Justin Jefferson. It's usually, I guess, in other games this year, it's been, Marvin Harrison or James Conner. It's not really been the entire roster. I have high hopes that San Francisco secondary can stop and limit what the Chiefs throw at them. But again, my biggest worry is Devondre Campbell. But that said, I'm really hoping, as Kyle Cheapto points out in the YouTube comments, that he wants Renardo Green to cover Xavier Worthy. And I think so. You get into press coverage, you want to have a thicker-bodied and also quick cornerback. That's Renardo Green. Ward's been banged up this year, been kind of slow or not having a great year. His former team, I'm sure he wants to bounce back. Go shadow Juju Smith-Schuster. Let the youngins that aren't banged up guard Xavier Worthy and guard Travis Kelce. But my eyes will be glued to see what Nick Sorensen does in regards to scheming up against Andy Reid for the first time. But also, the Chiefs have not been the same. Like, whether we're getting duped and they're going to kill us on Sunday, which, I mean, if history is proven otherwise, it could very easily happen. But the Chiefs have not scored 30 points in 15 straight games. They're not as explosive. Mahomes has only 3.6 air yards on average this year. Not great. It's screens, dump-offs, things that are inside the numbers. It is not the Chiefs we once knew. The way they're winning is running the football and, of course, relying on a Steve Spagnuolo defense. The defense has saved them countless times this year against the Bengals, against the Saints, against the Falcons. It has been a primarily defensive game. And Spagnuolo is the best coordinator in all of football. He is phenomenal at what he does. The way he can, like Reed, doesn't matter personnel. They traded away L'Jarius Sneed this year. Now people were like, L'Jarius Sneed sucks. It doesn't matter who they have out there, what they've been able to do. They watched Willie Gay lead this offseason to the Saints. Haven't missed a beat. Like, he's just phenomenal. But that brings me to my first offensive point of the game, is that Brock Purdy is, without a doubt, the biggest key to victory for San Francisco. If Brock Purdy plays the way he's played the last few weeks, especially against the Seattle Seahawks, my goodness. This game is going to be as tight as it's ever been, and we're talking overtime in the Super Bowl tight. Brock Purdy, I think, is set up really well to succeed in this game, but also he has to succeed if San Francisco wants to win. If you look at what the Chiefs do on defense, they eliminate everything Kyle Shanahan's nature tells him to do when he doesn't have a 10-point lead in the playoffs. Run the football. The Chiefs are like, you want to run the football against us? Yeah, freaking right. There's no way in hell you're running the football against us. Now, Jordan Mason has been in a blue non-contact jersey, this week. He seems like he's good to go. If you listen to Kyle Shanahan on KNBR, he said that he's leaning towards playing this Sunday, so should be a good thumbs up for Jordan Mason. But if he's limited, all it takes is one hit, and that shoulder's banged up again. So we're hoping it isn't that big of a deal. But if Isaac Guerendo is your lead back, does one run against the Seahawks make you go, can't wait to see that, brother? And I love Guerendo. I think he'll be great in a couple years' time. But, he's not been the most consistent guy. Do you want to rely on Guerendo and Patrick Taylor Jr. and Keyshawn Vaughn to be your guys if Mason goes down? Now, that said, even if Mason plays, for as great as he's been, NFL's number 2 leading rusher, been a dog, been just in the tackles, pushing through guys, yards after contact, off the freaking charts, right? Kansas City has not allowed a 100-yard rusher this season since week 1. The last 4 opponents they've had held to 74 yards, 82 yards, 55 yards, and 46 yards. They have sold out to stop the run. The Chiefs said, you know what? We're playing a hindered Kirk Cousins. We're playing a check-down merchant Derek Carr. Let's just stack the freaking box and go berserk and stop the run. I mean, my goodness, like this team, San Francisco, their nature, who they've been when successful is we're going to stop the run. We're going to run the football, play action, make the opposing teams stop the run. Make them beat us and then allow Brock Purdy on a play action to just beat the defense left and right, which he did against Seattle all night long. But when I look at what Kansas City's done defensively against the run, my main concern is, and Kyle Shanahan talks about this all the time, and he has all year, as San Francisco's offense struggles in the red zone, the primary reason they have done so is because they can't run the football. Now, this comes down to missed assignments by blockers, Kittle, guards, tackles. Execution, not great. But it comes down to if you can't run the football, you're going to force Brock Purdy to throw the ball 3, maybe 4 times in the red zone when the opposing defense knows you're not going to go behind them and everything's going to be in front of them. That is not setting yourself up for success. So my major concern is that them red zone struggles rear their ugly head against San Francisco or for San Francisco because the Chiefs sell out to stop the run. They're a darn good team with a phenomenal defensive line. They got Chris Jones, Charles Omenihu's out there. They're a great team. They have Carl Loftus. These guys just show up in these big moments and you're like, my goodness, man. Like, they are healthy as well. Like, they are a full go, definitely ready to go. So it's like, if you can't run the football, I mean, my goodness. Now, there is a way, which Kawachipto says here, that Debo will get strapped again. there's two ways to look at this. That one way is Deebo Samuel becomes the wide back on certain plays if Mason can't go, or you want to get some creativity on the offense. I can see that. End arounds, try something new, have the Chiefs defense beat you on the edge, but even Deebo Samuel this week has been in a blue non-contact jersey. So it's like, well, wait a minute. You had 10 days off. How the hell is everybody hurt again? They ain't played in 9 days. They ain't played in 10 days. The heck's going on? What's in the water in Santa Clara? My goodness. But this is a massive game for Jake Brendel, for Aaron Banks, for Dominic Pooney. And for Dominic Pooney's sake, I think he is going to be a massive key in this one, where in previous years against Chris Jones, it was Mike Person, it was Spencer Burford, John Feliciano, and at times it was okay, but other times it wasn't great. I think if Dominic Pooney plays the way he has all year against the Chiefs, against Chris Jones, a 0% pressure rate, which is insanely just God-tier level of play, he's going to allow the Niners to utilize George Kittle. One of the biggest complaints about George Kittle against the Chiefs has been, why is he playing that sixth offensive lineman role? Why is he playing the extended tackle role on the offense? You get Dominic Pooney out there playing the way he's been playing all year long. I mean, my goodness, that opens up doors to give Kyle Shanahan the ability to feed his best offensive weapon in the receiving game this year. George Kittle has been on another level this year as a receiver for San Francisco. If Dominic Pooney plays the way he does, it opens up so many doors. And also, I cannot wait to watch Dominic Pooney and Chris Jones lock horns for the first time. That was what Dominic Pooney was drafted to do. Come in, either play right tackle or right guard, and stop Chris Jones. This is literally what you drafted him to do.
Listen in. Starbucks. It's a great day for coffee.
Stop Chris Jones. Get us over the hump. This is a massive, massive game for him. I do wonder, going back to the running game and the weaponry San Francisco has, do they make an effort again, like against Seattle, to get Deebo involved early, despite the injury he's dealing with in the blue non-contact jersey? The first touchdown you scored in that game, Deebo Samuel, 76-yard from Purdy, bunch of yak involved. Deebo is the most explosive offensive player you have, not named Christian McCaffrey, and he ain't playing. So it is almost important where we've watched against Kansas City that they have strapped Deebo to death. He's not a separator, and that is one of the biggest complaints about him. He's a running back playing wide receiver, which can do so many good things, but I think in this game, my eyes would not be at Deebo Samuel. Juwan Jennings probably not going to play in this one. My eyes are shifting all the way to the guy you're paying $30+ million to this year. That is Brandon Ayuk. The Kansas City Chiefs this year are playing press man coverage like nobody's business. Saying, you know what, you're not going to separate, and we're going to trust our defensive backs to beat your receivers, which outside of Joe Burrow and maybe with Lamar Jackson, Purdy's probably the third best quarterback they've played all year, and he's probably playing the second best of those three quarterbacks I just named. That said, Brock Purdy, funny enough, against man coverage, third best quarterback in football. He is third best against cover one. He is third best against two-man coverage, and he is third best against cover zero. What does that mean, Sterling? Let me explain. Brock Purdy against cover one, which is one single high safety. That's all cover one means. There obviously is more intricate versions of that, but primarily it means you have one single high safety. Brock Purdy, third best quarterback in football against that kind of coverage. Against two-man coverage, or two-man, that means 2 safeties in the back. It is one of the most traditional defenses in football. Brock Purdy, third best quarterback against that this year. And against cover 0, when you have no deep defenders this year and opposing teams are just stacking the box, taking away the middle of the field, Brock Purdy, third best quarterback in football. This is a game where, despite how great the Chiefs are, Brock has proven the weaknesses that the Chiefs want to exploit are not weaknesses. The scheme in which the Chiefs continue to run, Brock has proven to be one of the best quarterbacks at beating the way they've run their defense and scheme their defense up. Now, in my notes, in all caps, again, I point to Brandon Ayuk and I say, somebody has to separate. If you're not going to separate, you cannot beat man coverage. You cannot beat press man coverage. You're asking your stars to beat the opposing team's secondary when it's 1v1. If your boys can't do that, they don't deserve them paychecks. This is and has to be the Brandon Ayuk game. This has to be the George Kittle game, especially if you have Dominic Puni holding up against Chris Jones and company. You get Kittle involved, that changes everything you can do against Kansas City. And maybe, Ricky Pearsall. Is Pearsall going to play? Because just like Dominic Puni, you drafted him to lock horns with Chris Jones, plug that right guard hole you had last year and in previous years. You drafted Ricky Pearsall for games like this. Can you separate? They wanted 2 separators. It is pivotal they get somebody in there that can separate. Now, I don't think Pearsall plays this Sunday, but hey, you never know. But if he can't play, your entire eyes should go to, hey, Ayuk, you got that big paycheck. Would you like to earn it this Sunday? Because, oh my God, you got locked up against KC in the Super Bowl. It was a non-factor. Debo was locked up. He didn't do much because he was hurt on and off the field. Someone has got to separate. And if they can, Brock Purdy should be able to exploit the Kansas City Chiefs linebackers like he's a freaking, there's an udder and he's just squeezing that teat for milk all day. I'm sorry I'm getting overtly sexual and nasty, but my goodness, the Chiefs linebackers are terrible in coverage this year. Terrible. Nick Bolton, been targeted 16 times, 13 catches allowed, 121 yards allowed, and a rating of 119. Drew Tranquill, 17 targets this year, 15 catches, 149 yards allowed, and a 122.8 rating. You get Kittle involved, you get your separator, Brandon Ayuk, to actually separate. You can eat these dudes alive. Target the linebackers like it's no one's business. And if you know what Kyle Shanahan wants to do, it is eat up opposing linebackers. Man. Again, it's tough, right? I'm taking away the Chiefs being a darn good team. Darn good. They're a phenomenal team. But San Francisco, and Kyle Shanahan primarily, has to find a way to involve George Kittle. If you can get Puni to be great. I don't care if you have to run Saubert out there to get Kittle on plays. It is so important. I think San Francisco would be, it would behoove them to just target the linebackers all day against Kansas City and hope Ayuk can be your guy. If Pearsall plays, great. I don't think he'll play this year, in this game, but man, this is a game where you have a quarterback that has shown a history of being able to beat the Chiefs at everything they've been great at this year. The amount of man coverage they run, press coverage they run, Purdy has shown the history to beat that. Use it. This is the time to beat the Kansas City Chiefs. This is the time to, put that kryptonite to bed. Put your demons to bed. We're in October. It's the spooky mama season. There's demons, there's ghouls, there's ghosts, there's goblins flying around all the way. Woo! You can put them to bed. Put them to bed this week And I get it. Kawachipto, great job. I was going to bring it up next. Lots of chaos and simulated pressures that overwhelm the offensive line. You're right. The Niners' offensive line has been better than expected, but at times it's not been great. Spagnuolo loves to blitz. He hides blitzes. He cost San Francisco. He took that Super Bowl number 6 away from San Francisco by delayed blitzes, nickel blitzes, linebacker blitzes. Like, he is another animal in drawing up pressure. Brock Purdy this year, number 4 against the blitz. Steve Spagnuolo respects Brock Purdy, saying he doesn't really have any weaknesses. Now, one thing that is going to cost San Francisco in this game is at the line of scrimmage, pointing out your protections, sliding protections over. Brock isn't great at it just yet. Jake Brendel is absolutely dog against it. He's just terrible. My God, is he terrible at it. I am worried to death, that Brock Purdy and Jake Brendel are not going to point out the protections correctly, and it's going to cost San Francisco. The way Spagnuolo disguises blitzes, unlike anybody else, is whether it's safeties, nickels, linebackers, he will delay blitz the freaking defensive tackle. And you're like, what the heck? That's weird. Like, he has no problem asking anyone to do anything on that line. And they're going to bring pressure all day. That makes the most sense. You want to force Brock Purdy, overwhelm the offensive line, overwhelm Brock Purdy. With no Christian McCaffrey, there's no check down option, really. It is going to be up to Brock with the heaviest weight on his shoulder, not Super Bowl weight, but this is like the next thing of like, you're playing Spags at home, your team's banged up, you ain't got CMC, show me what you're made of. Learn from what happened in February. You can beat this team. This team has been on the ropes against the Falcons, against the Ravens, and against the Bengals. 3 of their wins have been like, are you sure they actually won that game? You can beat the Kansas City Chiefs, and I firmly believe that San Francisco can beat the Kansas City Chiefs, and Brock Purdy is going to have to be the catalyst in that victory. Brock Purdy has to be the one to carry this team. They've asked him to do it all year long. They're probably not going to be able to run the football very well, thus more pressure goes back onto Brock Purdy. But again, against the blitz and against man coverage, he has been just a dog. Just so darn good, precise, and awesome. But that said, all the good things I've said for Brock Purdy in San Francisco and what they need to do to win, I just can't pick San Francisco. I hate saying that, but this is a game where they got to prove to themselves you can win. This game has massive trade deadline implications on it. You fall to 3-4, you walk into the trade deadline 4-4 or 3-5 at worst. This is a big game for San Francisco. This goes a long way to proving, okay, how close actually are you to being a top dog in the NFL? This is a big game. This to me is trade deadline implication. It is, really it comes down to, are you for real? And go back to the 80s. They could not get past the Cowboys. They lost to them time and time again in the playoffs. Finally get past them in the regular season, and it opens the floodgates. That's what you're hoping this game is. It's finally we've proven to ourselves we can beat them. But until that's proven, well, I think that San Francisco will have every opportunity to win this game like it had back, 8 months ago. I'm going to pick the Chiefs. I got to see it. Polar Express. Seeing is believing, brother. I got to see if San Francisco can win this game and beat the Chiefs. I think they can. I hope they can, but my goodness, I got to see it. I have to see it with my own 2 eyes and say, they did it. They finally did it. Obviously, we're faithful here. We're pulling for a win, but until it happens, what do you expect a brother to do? I got to pick Mahomes. I got to pick T. Swift and T. Kelsey. Andy Reid cheeseburger calls. Like, I mean, my goodness, I have to pick the Chiefs to win this game. I think this game will be like, 28 to 25 or 24 to 30. It's going to be close. It'll be a one-score game for sure, but it's just you're going to have every opportunity. If San Francisco can just capitalize on the mistake Mahomes is likely to make, they can win this game. But until that's proven, I have to pick the Chiefs. I'll say 30-26, Chiefs get the win. Niner fans go home pissed off, angry, and say, why? We just can't get over the hump. But maybe we'll get a third shot at these guys in the Super Bowl. We'll see. Kawachito says here, I doubt the Chiefs score more than 24 points. I'm going to give them the bye week, to fix some stuff, get some things right, but I can see that. They haven't scored 30 points since, 15 games ago, so I can see that. He says 21-17. I can also see that. I mean, it's just, man. Why, Bobo, this is not directed towards you, but like everyone's talking about the refs. Everyone's talking refs and refs and refs. And look, that Bengals game and that Falcons game, yeah, refs. Like, what is going on? But am I just like, you don't got to worry about the stripes if you just kick their ass. If you score more points than them, because your offense executes on third downs, you do well in the red zone, you win this game. I get it, the refs in the Super Bowl, had you scored a touchdown off the Jair Brown interception, you win that game. Like, my goodness. Like, I get it, refs are there, and it sucks, and we don't like them, but like, San Francisco had every opportunity. In almost every game they've played KC to beat them, then the refs got involved. I just don't care. Beat the Chiefs. You can beat them in what they do. You can beat them. But I think the Chiefs win. Fingers crossed I'm wrong. I will say 30-26. Chiefs get the win. San Francisco falls back under 500. And I hope after this game on a Victory Monday, we are talking freaking, wow, Sterling, you're an idiot. You're so dumb. You don't know jack squat. You call yourself faithful. Ew, get out of my fan base. I want to have that conversation. I will go outside, cook a crow myself, and have a big warm bowl of it to celebrate the Halloween season. But until then, thank you to Fish and Chips, Kawachito, Bobo in the YouTube chat, 49er, Lifer. Who else is on here? Rick Diaz. Thank you all so much for commenting. Hope you can like, share, and subscribe on the audio podcasting platforms. Give us a 5-star review. It is the easiest and cheapest way to help the show out. It pushes up those rankings over and over and over again, and it gets us to more ears and eyes, again, to build this community. And if you also could, follow us on social media at 49ers_access is the X or the Twitter. 49ers.access is the Instagram. If you want to go to this game or any game, whether it's NBA coming up soon, MLB playoffs, go Mets, go Guardians, fingers crossed. If you want to watch any NFL games this year or watch your Niners play, go to SeatGeek.com and use our promo code 49ers Access, 49 ERSACCESS at SeatGeek.com and save yourself $20 off your first purchase. And if you hate having to scrounge 19 billion different websites for news on your favorite teams, go to SportsSpider.com. They organize from podcast, YouTube videos, latest articles, anything you want in regards to your favorite team. They put it all in one place for you, organized by team, by sport. Click that link down below or go to sportspider.com and follow your teams in one place, not 13,000 different ones. But look, my name is Sterling Bennett. I hope you enjoy Thursday Night Football. Sean Payton against the Saints for the first time. He's rocking the visor. Let's see how that goes. Shout out Spencer Rattler, Boomer Sooner brother. Enjoy the weekend, and hopefully we're enjoying a Niners victory Monday when it's all said and done. And hopefully they can beat the Chiefs in a push past their kryptonite and hopefully put their Super Bowl demons to sleep. This is a big game for San Francisco, mentally and literally, in regards to the record this year. So fingers crossed, San Francisco wins. Brock Purdy is the key. He's the key to winning this game. Gotta pull through, Brock. Gotta pull through, brother. But as I always say, my name is Sterling Bennett. Have a wonderful rest of your week. And until next time, as always, stay faithful.